respiration's still funky. Those broken ribs are really bothering you, aren't they?
Nah. Baby, gonna call your bluff. The cup gets going when the going gets rough. It won't be over till you had enough. You ain't nothing but a powder puff. No average psychotic criminal genius makes a monkey out of me. 'Cause I got stuff when it gets rough that you don't wanna see. You know I am a lover, baby, that ain't all. I'm a wild tiger when my back's against the wall. You think that you're a hunter, and I will be your game. But your game is lost, you gotta pay the cost. I'm one cat you can't tame. Baby, gonna call your bluff. The cup gets going when the going gets rough. It won't be over till you had enough. You ain't nothing but a powder puff.
All right, and we are live.
Oh boy.
I figured the way we could do this is... Actually, I also have a certain order I wanted to do these movies in. Not based on the day, but... There's actually a reason why I want to watch the trailers for each of these, and it's because they are... Well, it's from an era when they still had the guy that would do the epic voice on the trailers.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty funny. I swear to God, I haven't laughed as hard as I did at the Cool as Ice trailer in quite a minute.
So I haven't seen the I never saw the trailer for it, obviously, because I found the movie through JonTron. I didn't know that. I didn't know it existed. Because why should it? You know.
Well, that's like with Mr.Nanny. I had no idea that movie existed, and then when we were talking last weekend, I just kind of stumbled upon it and was like, "Holy shit, this can't be real."
Sadly, it is.
So I think my favorite moment in that is when he goes, Vanilla Ice is gonna take an uncool world and chill it to the bone.
It really reminds me of those the fake trailers from Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Was it that Tug Speedman or something? Was that character?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, so I mean,
Can't believe that's a real trailer.
it's kind of a crime. Like, the movie got a budget, and that's wrong. That. So I mean, how long ago did you watch this one, Devin? Because I know we had this kind of on the back burner for a while.
I watched this. When did I watch this? It was like a month ago, I think.
Cool.
So I'm a little rusty. I didn't actually rewatch it this week. I watched the JonTron video, so just to get a little bit of a refresher. But this movie's kind of burned into my brain a bit. So it's not going to be too hard to remember. There's a couple notes that I'm wondering about what I was talking about when I wrote it, but for the most part, yeah, I'm good to go on this one. This is even though I watched it like a month ago, because I watched it like right before I went on vacation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, dude, loading it. So I was kind of like cleaning up my room a little bit during like the first few minutes of the movie. And it didn't dawn on me, and I ended up pausing it to see exactly like what the mark was. You can skip the first 6 minutes of this movie. It is a prolonged music video,
I was just
and
saying,
that's all it is.
You can't skip that. That sets up his character. That's his whole character.
Yeah, it also introduces.
But we know his character.
Monique.
You don't have to set up Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, and then it introduces us to Monique.
You can
Which comes up later.
You can skip it.
And
you really don't need it.
And you just get a feeling of Vanilla Ice's vibe in case you didn't already know Vanilla Ice.
Washed up. Uncle Vinny.
Well, at the time, I think he was still pretty big.
Well, so that's the thing. I didn't realize until Kat calls him Johnny that he wasn't playing himself, because I knew next to nothing about the other. And so they're riding down the street, everybody's looking at him, and like Vanilla Ice is the only like popular rapper like for the time that had to pay people to recognize him in a movie. But then I was like, oh, well, he's not playing himself. I was like, kind of bit myself. You know, I was like, came back and bit me in the ass. But I thought he was playing himself because the movie's fucking cool as ice. He just assumed that Vanilla Ice is going to be playing himself.
Well, I gotta say, I don't think Vanilla Ice is that good at fighting people.
Well, it's his movie.
That's the thing, yeah. So
it's his movie, you know?
No, I think he can take it.
He pulled up on those dudes trashing the bikes like he was Batman.
The new one, though?
Yeah.
The new one?
And he's like, I'm vengeance. I mean, Vanilla Ice.
I mean, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean Johnny. I forgot him in a movie.
So, does Vanilla Ice exist in the same world? Or is this like a precursor? Is this the prequel, his origin story?
It's his origin story. This was back when he was part of some weird-ass, random Kawasaki biker gang.
God, dude, those bikes. They stood out a little, you know, especially in a small town.
I still think his bike looks like shit.
You don't like his bike?
Like, just the yellow paint is awful.
See, I like it in comparison to the other ones because it's nice. It's not like this weird crap. Like, I can't remember any other characters' names, but it was like that green and black bike. But they're working on through the movie. Like somehow that's the progression. That's what progresses the movie is them working on the bike. I loved his way more than that one because it was just plain in yellow. It was nice to look at.
Okay,
yeah, I like.
Oh, sorry, Sam. What were you gonna say?
I like the. I think it was the girl's bike. It had like question marks, exclamation points, like a black.
It's like the Riddler.
It's like orange. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the opening is a music video, prolonged music video. Then we see Johnny get Monique's number, and then him and his biker gang decide to hit the streets and just, I don't know, drive around or whatever. So
they drove to like a different town.
Yeah, it seemed like they were just kind of drifting from town to town, causing trouble. Except I don't understand. So on their way, before the bike breaks down, Johnny eyes a beautiful woman riding a horse and decides to attempt to murder this woman.
Yeah. Hesitate.
He just fucking jumps in front of her, causes her to get bucked off the horse, and then she punches him, and he's like, "What's your problem?" He didn't just attempt to kill her.
Also, when he jumped that fence, I was like, "How?"
How?
Because they showed us the view of like the road, right? There's no ramp or anything. All of a sudden, it just cuts to his bike in the air.
It was the power of being cool that helped him get in the air. And then she hits him, and he's like, "You hit like a girl." Gotta love those cheesy 90s lines.
You think he improv that?
Probably.
It seems like he liked to think on his feet a little bit and throw stuff in.
It felt like the whole movie was improv.
They're like, we got $6 million. Let's use it, boys.
Yeah. The director just throws Vanilla Ice in these situations, you know, and they just. He
says, "Just act natural."
Imagine that.
He's like, ditch the zero, get with the hero. That was good, right? That was good. I think that was a good line.
Like one take, baby. That's all I need.
So yeah, so then after that, the one guy's bike breaks down, and they have this whole moment where they're like standing in an intersection looking at the bike. And they're just kind of like, oh man, the bike's not going, and everybody in town is a mixture of annoyed and scared at this biker gang just standing there. So then they start, what was it? They were like dragging the bike through the neighborhood after.
Yeah,
pretty much.
They just tied a rope to it.
Yeah, and they're just dragging it through the neighborhood, and everyone's still staring at them. And then they roll up to what I can only imagine would be like the house of Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. like, I don't understand what was going on with this house or the people that lived in it. They seemed to know these people, but it was like an old couple that I don't know they're cool with, or they just met. I couldn't really tell.
I don't think
they
knew
met them on Craigslist. I really feel like they had to put a Craigslist ad out, and that's why they found out about the bike.
So
but that's purely speculation.
They meet this old couple, or they know this old couple. Like I said, I was trying to figure that out till the end of the movie, and the old couple's like instantly like, yeah, just random biker gang, come inside and stay with us. This is where I was like, they have to know these people, because they're like, yeah, you guys can stay here as long as you need to. And then so they are now stuck in the town. Homeboy's inside making the craziest fucking sandwich I've ever seen in a movie.
Can we talk about
Yes,
that?
Oh,
please.
I literally took down
Peanut butter, pickles, sardines, and mustard.
and pineapple.
Oh, yeah.
He put a
Forgot about
slice.
that, and
Hey.
pineapple.
I was taking down the ingredients. I looked up and I was like, he's putting another thing on. I had to keep writing like and pickles and it hurt me.
Hey man,
It really did.
try before
It
you
takes-
deny.
He takes a fucking bite. It's just like, that is the spot. It's like,
It's
no.
it's a crime.
It's funny though.
I'd get kicked out of school for that.
It does remind me of the sandwiches my grandpa eats sometimes, or at least did eat back in the day. You make a peanut butter, pickle, and cheese sandwich.
Okay, like I could see that. I don't like peanut butter and pickles, but that makes more sense than adding sardines on it. That's what threw me off. It's like, why do you need the salt? Why?
It's called the kitchen sink sandwich. So they're just kind of kicking it at this crazy house place while the old man is just destroying this bike because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's
a clutch issue.
Never seen this bike before in his life. And it just so happens that these people are conveniently like right across the street from Catherine.
Yep.
And,
Kathy.
Of course.
and Johnny sees her and goes over there as she's like in a conversation with her boyfriend, and this leads to one of the best lines in the movie. Because he's like, hey, ditch that zero and get with a hero. And then he's like, what do you know this guy? And she already seems like he didn't just try to kill her in the previous scene. Like, she's kind of looking at him like, oh, he might be a snack. And then as he's leaving, he calls the dude Dick, and the dude's like, it's not Dick, it's Nick. He's like, oh yeah, Nick. Sick burn. And then he walks away. And now you guys, one of you guys want to take over? I can't remember what happens exactly next.
Oh.
I think that basically she shows up on TV.
That's
right?
okay.
Yeah,
No,
at the house watching her thing.
that's
and
right.
whatnot.
First, we have to go through that insane ass little montage where the camera is doing, I don't know what the fuck, and it's
A Beastie Boys music video.
it's just like the kid jumping around the house. Everybody's like dancing or whatever. I thought I had just been gassed with something as I was watching the movie.
That
And then and so then they watch the TV. It's like her interview, and her dad is in the interview with her, and then it cuts to some like greasy looking guy in a bar watching, and then he's like, oh, and he goes to the phone. I love this. He goes to the phone, he picks up the phone, he calls somebody, he's like, hey, you'll never guess who I saw on TV. And the person on the phone doesn't ask who, they're just like, where? Who? When was it? Like, they know exactly who he's talking about already.
Well, he screwed them over, you know?
Yeah.
And that's another thing. If this dude is hiding, why is he going on TV showing his face?
Well, no, he had his hand covering his face. He was trying to hide.
Was he?
They
A
could
little
have
bit.
blurred it out.
Yeah.
Why even go in front of the camera?
Well, his daughter was like, oh, you can talk to my dad about that.
I will give her every
Like,
excuse under the sun to not be in front of the camera.
Too bad COVID didn't exist, man. He would have been fine.
And so, and then it cuts back to the biker gang sitting there, and somehow I guess that's right, because he did almost kill her in front of them, so they all know what she looks like, I guess. So they're like, look who's on TV, and then he's like, damn, all right. And then that's pretty much that.
Also, he stole her little black
That's
book.
right, yeah.
Oh, the organizer?
He steals her organizer.
Yeah.
While he's
And that's got all her scholarships and stuff in it. Like, don't play with me, Tommy.
And so then what is it? Then it doesn't it cut to it shows like her watching the interview, and she like can't find her organizer, and she realizes he stole it.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sticky Fingers. And then it cuts to, isn't that when it cuts to the party that her and her boyfriend and her friends go to?
Yeah.
And they're like having a good time listening to the guy performing reminded me of, if you've seen I want to say it was Step Brothers. It was either Step Brothers or The Hangover, but the guy performing at the wedding, he's like just like a really shitty rock band.
Oh, Step Brothers at the Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah, I think
and
that
they're like, he's like, I only do early Billy Joel, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
So they got some clown up there like that, and then Vanilla Ice shows up. Sorry, Johnny shows up to save the day, and then it turns into another like music video for like 5 minutes.
I have
Also,
an
did
issue
you
with
look at
that
most
scene.
of the background characters in that?
What about him?
No.
They just all looked purposefully like goofy or dorky.
Like it was overdone.
It's
Yeah.
because he looks so cool in every room that he goes into that he just makes people seem like that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That would have
No.
been hilarious if like the characters were dressed normally, and then the second he walks in the room, they've all got like their pants pulled up and their shirts tucked in and glasses on all of a sudden.
That pocket protector.
So he's performing, and Kat's pants are now dripping wet because Johnny is just so cool, and she has to talk to this guy, not only because he's so interesting, but also because she wants her goddamn pocketbook back. And somehow in the course of 3 scenes, it has gone from her absolutely hating the man who tried to kill her to her being pretty interested in this guy. He's definitely, he's something. And then if I'm not mistaken, he does not give her back the pocketbook.
Nope, that comes later.
Yeah.
When he breaks
Yeah.
into her room while she's sleeping.
Okay,
And then
hold on.
lays down in the bed next to her. Yeah.
Before we get into that, there's one thing I do want to bring up about the party. He rips all of the cords out and then proceeds to use the mic. Like, he unhooks all of the equipment and then walks up and starts using it. And it's just like, man. Also, the feedback when he unplugs it. I was like, no. just a little issue.
Well, there's probably some guy that's like, oh, not in my establishment, and is already right back up there plugging everything back in.
Oh yeah. He breaks into her room, drips water into her mouth from a melting ice cube.
It's an ice cube.
Yeah. Like what the fuck?
What do you mean? Not fantasize about that?
I wish that's how I got woken up in the morning.
Also, can we go back to them trashing the bikes?
Oh, was that?
That was after the. Yeah.
That was right after the party.
When he puts them in the hospital and everything.
Yeah, he kicks the shit out of those dudes, but he comes in like Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse and just. He's like disarming them.
He just like palmed his chest and like his lungs collapsed and he started dying.
He did that 5-finger death palm technique from Kill Bill.
He had one line. Sorry, go ahead.
That was just making the Kill Bill joke, but you're good.
He had one line in that scene. It was like, "Yo, that's D's bike." Nick said, "Who's D?" And I really wanted him to say,
nuts.
D's nuts.
That was what I was thinking. I was like, is this where it came from? But no, it was a missed opportunity.
Oh my god.
We need to remake the movie and put that. Would you be up to a sequel now, though? Vanilla Ice and his age? Like, up there a little bit? I think it'd make it better.
I was going to say, I would not doubt it at all if he was going to do he could totally do a sequel.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and we would be the only people to go see it.
In like the hat, I have the tags all over my clothes. I'm like, I'm here. But then like, he has that's also like right after that, she's walking home. She gets like almost sprayed by some semi, and then there's the guys who were after her father show up, but of course Vanilla Ice comes in last second to save her. Right?
Hold on, so there was
isn't that all the same shot?
There was a moment I did want to touch on because I'm pretty sure it's the same scene. It's the scene where he's broken into her room. He gives her the book back, and then her brother comes into the room, and he's like, "Oh, hey Johnny, like could you show me the motorcycle or whatever?" And he's like, maybe some other time. He's like, when you guys are done making sex.
Tommy is the star of this movie, and I stand by that. He wanted one thing, and that was just a ride. That was all he ever wanted. He just wanted a ride, man. And it was after he went up to Nick, and he was like, "You gonna give me that ride now?" He's like, "Well, next time, buddy. I promise." He's like, "You always say next time." I was like, man. Nick really is a dick.
But okay, so then there's the moment where she gets into the fight with her boyfriend, and I honestly thought he was about to start beating her, and it was going to turn into a domestic abuse situation in the parking lot. I guess that's not domestic abuse, that's a street fight, but so I thought that was going to happen. Instead, she just kind of storms off. And then, the guys that he owes money to start chasing her. Johnny swoops in, again like Batman.
Yep. And
scoops her up. And then he has... it didn't really seem like... Like, I could be misremembering, but it didn't really seem like they were the most menacing when they were following her. They were just kind of, like, driving behind her. But he swooped her up and was like, who were those guys? Like, they had just, like, chased her off the street or something. And then she's like, I have no idea.
Also, I want to know, how did he know where she was?
Like, well,
he was
following her.
Probably.
He was stalking her.
But it's okay. Because he's cool.
Yeah, that's what cool guys do.
If you're famous, crime doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't apply to you. Laws.
It's true. Yep.
The coolest thing you can do is follow a girl home from the bar.
Devin, we're on a list. Now.
So then he drops her off at home. And I'm trying to remember what happens next.
So after he saves her,
yeah,
So that's when it cuts into him breaking into her room, and then they go out on their date, like all day out to the construction site.
Yeah, what kind of fucking date is at a construction site? Just hanging out at a place that's probably off limits normally. Because
Devin, that's the issue. You lived in a city. You had stuff to do. I get that. Hallmark was a date, man. You have nothing to do. You go to the construction sites. That's realistic. I don't care what you say. That's not that far fetched. That was the most grounded scene in the movie.
Well, and it helps him out later, so it's important.
Yeah. Yep.
It's important that we go to this location because it comes into play.
Also, can I ask, what the hell does that machine do?
What
the
it
thumper
presses the ground? I don't know. it helps him in the
tiny
movie.
metal plate.
Do we have yellow construction hats on, Sam? Do we look like Bob the Builder? No, we don't know what the hell any of this stuff does. I could point out a cement mixer and a bulldozer. That's about it.
I can point out a bulldozer. But yeah, no, that I don't know what the purpose was at all, other than being a huge tell for the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So
but we want to do the big reveal whenever he drops her off.
Yeah. So then, well, okay. So there's a moment in the movie, I can't remember where it is, but those guys are hanging outside of her house, and the guys her dad owes money to, and they're talking about. Or maybe it's even before that. The one guy, the taller guy, is like, we're gonna go to the fast food place, and I'm gonna get a lot of hamburgers.
Oh yeah.
He's
like, I want some chicken wings and some fries. Like, I'm gonna get a lot of hamburgers.
Like he's Wimpy from Popeye. And then later on it cuts to them standing outside of the house, and he did get a lot of hamburgers. He's got like a shit ton of hamburgers in a bag.
The man had one mission in life.
And
get a lot of hamburgers.
And then and also these guys kind of remind me of, I don't know if it's just that the two bad guy pairing in the 90s, but they reminded me of like shittier versions of the Wet Bandits from Home Alone.
Yeah.
But then, so Johnny ends up talking to them and asking where I think that bar was that he ends up going to do his rap performance. And so the dad sees that, I believe. And so later on when he drops her off after the date, isn't that when he tells her, I don't want you hanging around that guy anymore? And he tells him, Beck is shaking his head no.
No, you're right. Because they're standing on the porch. He's like, I saw him with like his two friends of his, and like he put Nick in the hospital.
Yeah.
And he's telling Ice off, man. You don't do that either. I mean, you don't tell an Iceman what to do.
Well, and he's not really. He's just kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever, old man.
Well, because he was like that boy. He's like he tried to play baseball with my homie's bike, and he was like, so I had to put him in the hospital. Yeah, and they kind of go inside from there, and that's what Gordon Winslow. Can we talk about the way he delivers his name whenever he's telling Kate or Kat?
Oh yeah. By the way, that is so fucked up to be what is she, like 16, 17 in this movie?
I want to say she's 18 for
senior.
Vanilla Ice's sake. Because he's an adult.
All right, so yeah, she's 18, and now at 18 years old, you find out that your whole life is a fucking lie. Like,
my name is actually James Anthony Hackett Jimmy.
Yeah.
That was such an unnecessary. I know that was brought up in John's video, but it's such an unnecessary thing. He's like, James Anthony Hackett Jimmy. Jimbo. Like, it's like really whatever you want it to be. Oh, yeah. But no, again,
I brought up Home Alone. I completely forgot to mention the girl who plays Kat in this is the older sister in Home Alone that's doing the head count when they're getting ready to take off for the airport. Yeah, it's the same girl.
She keeps losing siblings, dude. Like, she has a track record for losing them.
Yeah. So she's the one that fucked up the head count because the neighbor was going through their stuff in Home Alone. And that's the only other notable role she had. Because I guess, according to that JonTron video, Gwyneth Paltrow was originally supposed to have that role, and then her dad said no because this would ruin her career. And, sometimes father knows best.
Man, you made a good call on that one. Okay, this is gonna sound dumb. But whenever it's any point when they're in her room, she has way too many fish in that bowl.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot.
Well, except for when the ring is in there. Then weren't there? If I remember right, there were like no fish.
No, there were fish in there.
Were there still fish in there? Okay.
Because then she's like staring into the bowl, and it just it's filled. Like there's no room for anything.
Yeah. So do you think if one of those fish had grabbed the ring, they would have been all powerful?
We're past that, Sam. That was 2 episodes ago.
That was awkward. I love Tommy in this movie. He just flips Nick off as he's driving by. The little man's got power, and he knows it.
Well, and then he turns into a little Vanilla Ice.
Oh, well, she's like, "Did they do this to your hair?" He's like, "Hell no."
Yeah.
And then he's the protege.
And then
he's like the mutt to Indiana Jones.
And then isn't it around then that the wet bandits break in and kidnap him?
Yeah, cause they get back from the bike ride because he was supposed to be at Little League. And he's like, I don't know, guys, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah, I feel like that wasn't their original plan because they expected him to be at Little League, right?
Yeah. Because
what were they going to do there?
And they were like, well, what were they looking for?
His NES.
His NES.
they wanted to play. They were gonna take his shit, and then they're like, "We'll just take him instead."
NES is worth more.
Yeah, what do I have written here? Who is Jimmy? Remind me, who is Jimmy?
That's the dad.
That's the dad. All right.
He has like 4 names.
God, maybe I should have rewatched this movie. I have. What was Jimmy's plan here?
Wouldn't be worth it. It wouldn't have been worth it. I'm sorry to cut you off, but what'd you ask?
I just wrote, what was Jimmy's plan here? I don't know. I don't know what I was referring to.
Like when the son got kidnapped?
Maybe.
I mean, his plan was to call the cops. But I don't know. The dad, he
kept making
ready to write the kid off.
He kept making the weirdest decisions throughout the movie, starting with going on fucking TV.
Well, it's just local news. Yeah, I don't know. The dad he did not think everything through.
Probably would have been a shit cop too.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
good thing he went into his protection.
Okay, and so
the only part of that he was good at.
And so, all the evidence really lines up that Johnny is part of these guys' plan because he even shows up right after they drop that tape on the porch. So he's the one that hands it to him. Mm-hmm. And so all the evidence is very much frames him up as part of the plan. Yet for some reason, Kat is convinced. She's like, no, even though I just met him yesterday, no, there's no way he's part of this plan.
No, she knows the real him.
She does.
Yeah, because she spent a day with him at a construction site.
Well, listen, he broke into her room just to give her her organizer. So I think that she had enough trust in him at that point. But he did B&E, but it was just to give me my book back.
And he also stalked me, tried to kill me. But he's a great guy.
I mean, have you seen his hair?
It looks like a fucking brick wall.
Well, he's like half of it's a brick wall, the other is just like lightning bolts. Yeah. I don't understand the side. But yeah, and then we go from there because then she's just was it Nick shows up? Yeah, and he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, I want to talk to Kat. They have the tape, and they're just kind of listening to it, and she slowly storms out of the house and takes it over to Johnny, and they're all just listening to it out in the driveway. Yeah. Like his gang, like, I need you to listen to this. Like these people who've never met her, it's just like a ransom note almost. They're like, please.
Yeah.
And then that's when the construction site really comes into play. The whole reason we were there at the beginning was because we needed Johnny to be able to recognize the sound of insert name of machine here, and he, after listening to it like 20 times on a loop, is like, wait, I think I might know that sound. And
he's like, the construction site's like, yes. He just gets up and leaves.
And then they go, and it actually seems like these wet bandits are gonna like fucking torture Tommy. They're like either gonna torture him or kill him, and then at the last second, they watch Johnny and friends ride away because they can't figure out where the location is. And then next thing these guys know, Johnny is bursting through the wall again, like Batman. I actually think this is low-key a Batman movie. But if it was an alternate dimension where Batman was just really cool, and that was his superpower.
It was.
And then he saves the day, and he gets the girl. He gets the handshake from the dad and the apology for not, sorry, Johnny, that I didn't trust you. And then Nick, I think, is like, are you going with this guy? And she's like, you better believe it, bucko. And then they ride off. If I'm not mistaken, I think they jump a car on the way.
So he rides off, he turns around, and then jumps over Nick's car.
That's right. And then I do remember this part. At the very end of the movie, it just flashes the end. Like the card is not even on the screen for like 0.3 seconds. It just bam, and then it's gone. I was like, did that just say so? Was that? I had to rewind it and pause it, and it just said the end, but it was just so fast.
Wow. I mean, they really just wanted it to be over. Like, they were done with it at that point. They wanted it to be done.
And then the movie went on to win 3 Oscars.
Yeah.
Best acting, best writing, best directing.
Best picture.
No, it did not win best picture, but it was nominated.
I can't tell if you're joking or not.
That's the beauty of the movie.
That's what they said when they showed that to the people who paid for it to be produced. I can't tell if you're joking or not. This is not what we paid for. And yeah, that's cool as ice. Did you guys have anything you wanted to say about the movie?
Out of all 3 that we watched, this one had the best soundtrack.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it had the most appropriate. At least with Steel, I made a lot of notes about it. But this one had the music matched the movie.
Well, I will say that Steel has my favorite soundtrack moment. And I'll get to that when we're talking about that movie. But there is a moment where the soundtrack, I don't know if they did it intentionally or not, but it is probably one of the funniest parts of the movie to me. But yeah, I would say overall this one had. I was actually kind of busting a move while I was watching Cool as Ice. I was like, all right, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing the Running Man to the first musical number.
Yeah, I could see you doing that.
I guess one thing I will say, this is probably my favorite of the three.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Either that, or Steel.
Same. No. Oh my god.
Wow.
No. I think this was my favorite out of them, but Steel, the worst one in my opinion.
I was gonna say
Oh
It
my
was
god.
dog shit.
my favorite was definitely Mr.Nanny.
I hate that movie.
I agree. This week it was hard to find anything redeemable about anything. Like it wasn't even like the funny bad. It was just bad and unenjoyable.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Anyway.
Well,
I guess
okay. And speaking of funny bad, did you watch any of the videos I sent you guys last night?
what videos did you send?
I threw out idea for next week's episode.
Probably. I had class, so I was probably trying to go to sleep.
Okay, so before we wrap this up tonight, I did want to show you one of these trailers, and then see what your guys' opinion is on this. But we'll wait.
You posted about this.
We'll wait until. Yes, I did. We'll wait until the end. Give me like 2 seconds. I need to refill my water real quick. I got that dry mouth.
Sam, what are we doing?
Huh?
What are we doing?
Why are we here?
Why are we here?
Just to suffer.
Isn't that Metal Gear Solid?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like I wake up every day. I've never played that game, but I had a coworker
Yeah,
at
but neither.
Donato's that could actually quote that entire monologue.
Okay, that's fucking ridiculous.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we didn't have a lot to do. Woo. It was boring. So yeah, we really would just sit over there with Devin and do stupid shit like that. Did you ever tell you about Private Pepperonio?
No.
I was showing somebody
Private Pepperoni?
it was a little souffle cup we had at Donato's that like it got melted and we turned it into like a little character. He had started an Instagram account for it, and I was showing one of my old coworkers when I was like living back home this summer. It was just funny.
I still have Private Pepperonio.
I'm glad you do.
He's up in the loft. I'd have to go dig him up, but he's still around.
You don't keep them on your person?
No, I had him on my desk at my old apartment, but when I moved, I did not bring him out into the fold.
Wow.
I know. Shame on me.
And we raised him. Like, why?
Well, he was in all the wars.
He's over in Ukraine right now. That's why he's not on your desk.
Yeah. Oh,
Ugh.
hold on. Here we go. I just pulled up his Instagram.
Yeah, I was looking back and that was like a time capsule.
I wonder if I can.
You think we can get him on stream one day?
Yeah, I could bust him out and bring him out on stream. I wanna send this to Sam. I'll just take some snapshots of this and send it. This is Private Pepperonio. He's been in all the wars. But all right, so if we have nothing else to say about Cool as Ice, I guess we'll move on to the best DC movie ever made.
It was better than Justice League.
the Whedon cut.
Well, no, yeah, not Snyder's. Snyder's was great. Whedon's was it was a steal of a movie.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up the trailer for Steel here. And I love these trailers again, like I said, because these are all 90s movies, so they all have that like epic trailer voice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fun. The one thing is, I don't think any of these are as good as the line in the Cool as Ice trailer. Vanilla Ice is gonna take an uncool world and chill it to the bone. It's just like the delivery on that alone is so fucking good.
I'm curious how much he had to do with like the script and everything on that movie.
For Cool as Ice?
Yeah, like being based around him, like I can't imagine he didn't have some like, or like he didn't like try to talk about like change little things here or there. I just really wonder how much.
And he probably did, and they were like, "Please go away."
Stop. He's like, "Stop putting me under this pressure, man." Oh shit! No, that's the David Bowie, but he stole it.
Yeah, the dude's like, "Please stop putting me under pressure," and Vanilla Ice is just like,
"Don't say that.
You had to go there, man. You really had to go there." All right. So now I'm going to show you guys the trailer for Steel. So if you don't already have the stream up, go ahead and pull it up again.
I'm always watching.
And I will go ahead and play this bad boy.
How would you like to help me deal the next generation of superweapons to the world?
The weapons of tomorrow.
I've already made quite a few of these dandy little toys. Do you really want to be the only ones without my kind of firepower?
Terrorizing our cities today.
Officers down. We got a big problem here.
Now, to protect those who can't fight back.
Gang still messing with him?
Worse than ever.
One man must stand up for the people.
Maybe the police aren't enough. Maybe we need a new kind of firepower for ourselves.
Got you, bro.
What exactly am I supposed to be doing here?
We make our own counter weapons to take out the ones in the streets. To stop an enemy without hurting them.
And become a new breed of hero.
It might get a little dangerous.
I laugh at danger.
I boogie around danger like a soul-trained dancer.
With a will of iron, a heart of gold, and a body of steel.
It's hammer time.
What a magnetic personality.
Well, you gotta admit, the guy's got style.
Batcave?
Steel.
Man, I could be Robin.
You wanna know what you can do to help?
What? Anything.
Don't tell Grandma.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Don't tell Grandma.
So out of the 3 trailers, I think that one has like the deepest epic trailer voice. Steel. Yeah. This movie had some of my favorite lines out of these 3 movies. We'll get to those, but it was a lot of one-liners. A lot of them were really bad, but a couple of them. There's one in particular I've adopted into my list of just stuff I will say now.
Which one is? You want to wait?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you now. It's dip me in shit and roll me in breadcrumbs. That is amazing. But yeah, so this is based on a DC comic of the same name, Steel. The premise, I guess, for the comics is pretty similar. It's about a guy named John Irons who It's like a weapons. It's basically like Iron Man, the Robert Downey Jr. movie, but instead it's steel. This is fun fact. This is the movie that killed Shaquille O'Neal's acting career.
This is the one that really drove the nail in.
Yeah, yeah, because they did Kazam, and they were like, you know what? Which, by the way, I watched. When I came to the decision we should do this one instead, I actually watched Kazam and Steel back to back, and I thought this one was a little bit more entertaining. But somehow after Kazam, they said, yeah, let's put him in another movie, and he's basically the same. I mean, the man has no emotional range when it comes to acting. He is just Shaq.
To be fair though, New Line Cinema did the same thing to Hulk Hogan. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was before Mr.Nanny. It was horrible, and they're like, "Well, we'll give him another shot."
Which one was that? Oh shit! I have my Kazam notes in here too. I did forget. Yeah, New Line Cinema did Mr.Nanny, and I'm kind of curious if that's not what killed New Line Cinema. But
what do you mean? They thrive, dude. They made Lord of the Rings. They thrive.
Oh, that's true. But they could never. They could
diss them.
They could never get over the cancer that is Mr. Nanny. But yeah, so right away it opens with we're out in the jungle, tank rolls through, and then it gets hit by some sort of like weapon, and the guy pops out of the tank. He's like, all right, it's what did he say? He said, that's enough, my ass is on fire. And then it shows the general, he's like, I thought I smelled some nuts roasting. And it turns out that they're testing weapons out in the jungle. And that first little line is just a taste of what comes later in this movie in terms of stupid lines. And so they're out there testing weapons. It's a team of John Irons, Sparky, and Judd Nelson's character, Burke, who I just wrote down as Soy Boy Burke.
Soy Boy Burke.
Because very quick he gets salty and he starts acting a fool because he wants... I can't really tell what he wants out of this relationship, out of this business partnership. I guess just power. Because he's just like talking to people about how the weapons could be stronger. He could be the guy to make it happen. And then, he turns up the power on one weapon and fucks everything up. And he causes Sparky to become paralyzed. And John Irons says, you know what, that's enough. I'm not doing this anymore. And he goes to court and he basically points out that Burke's the one who did it. Burke throws a huge fucking temper tantrum in the hallway and starts yelling at the giant man standing in front of him. He's like looking up at him like a kid does their dad. And he's like, I'm going to get you for this. Like, this ain't the last of this. Yeah. Yeah, he's straight up throwing a temper tantrum. And then he just walks out. And
that was probably my favorite part of this movie. Like, whenever he's in like a confrontation, he's like 2 times your size. And everyone's acting tough. It's like, he could like snap you.
He's like, how are you gonna sell this scene?
His hand is bigger than your head. All right.
He literally palmed.
I was kind of hoping he was gonna do that. He was just gonna kind of like palm someone's forehead, and they were gonna be swinging, but they couldn't reach him.
So my first note about the movie, it was before the movie started. It was just the opening credits. Because, like, we're kind of getting, like, this cool forging music and everything, and then it breaks down into just, like, this funky music. And it just changed. It's such a drastic change.
Stand up!
Yeah.
Raise your... I can't remember what the line is.
Sorry, actually, am I wrong? Did the opening credits happen after that initial shot, or was it like the first thing that we see?
I think it's the first thing. It's before...
Okay, I couldn't remember if they'd done that weird kind of like some...
Cold open.
Yeah.
No, it goes from credits into the tank scene. So, yeah, it just opens with the credits. Raise up! It's like almost like some gospel R&B music.
It doesn't match the tone. I think that was my biggest complaint throughout this entire movie.
Well, that's why you weren't on the soundtrack committee for Steel.
Yep.
I wasn't alive. I hadn't. Dude, I wasn't conceived until like 8 years later.
Wait, were you alive for any of these movies to come out?
I'm a 2000 baby.
Okay, that's right. I was. I think Cool as Ice. What year was Cool as Ice?
91.
91. So I was not around for Cool as Ice.
Steel was 92, and I think Mr.Nanny was 97. Or no.
Steel was 97.
Steel was 97. Nanny was 92.
All right, so the only movie I was alive during the release of was Steel. And I was probably old enough that this would have been... I mean, I would have been like 3 or 4, so I might not have been the target audience, but I remember like seeing Batman and Robin or whatever back around that time, and I had like a Mr. Freeze action figure, but I don't remember ever having a Steel action figure.
Well, it didn't do that.
I was going to say, I don't think this movie did well at all.
It didn't do good enough to make action figures.
Yeah, and while also killing Shaq's career, I feel like this movie also tanked Judd Nelson's career. Ooh. Although he did go from Breakfast Club to this, so his career was probably pretty tanked already. You said what?
So was that really all that he was in between then?
No, I'm sure he's in some other stuff, but nothing.
But that's the whole
point.
These
are the two most notable films of his career. I'm gonna guess. I'm probably wrong, but. That'd be so hilarious if he's walking down the street and someone's like, "Hey, you're the bad guy from Steel,"
and he's like, "Shit."
He's like, "Wait, yeah, I am. Do you know any of my other movies?" They're like, "Nah." I just know Steel Man. I love that movie. You don't know Breakfast Club? What's Breakfast Club? I just watch Steel every day.
I tried to start a breakfast club where everybody would come over and watch Steel.
And eat cereal.
But so I guess kind of like, what is it? So the movie obviously had like a bunch of one-liners. It was really funny. I think because of that, it really translated into the notes because all of the shit I wrote down is just dumb. Because so in the beginning, whenever they're doing the whole like, to infinity and beyond finger touch.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting there watching that, and I'm just like, the white man was jealous that Shaq and Sparky are touching tips. Like, subtle observations. I'm like, and they're just so stupid. I'm like,
that was
out of it.
That's such a dumb handshake, too. That's like if Elliot and E.T. thought they were cool.
But they were.
They were just some Reese's Pieces eating bitches, all right?
I hate Reese's.
What?
I would have left Earth too, man. I can tell you exactly why I hate them.
Why?
It's the shells. They make me cringe.
What?
Like the coating that they have on there, it's not the exact same as like an M&M. It's a little flakier, and it makes me it gives me goosebumps.
I love Reese's Pieces way more than M&M's.
Well, that's cool, but like you're wrong.
Dude, I think I have a bunch of boxes of Reese's Pieces around here. I'm gonna eat some now.
I'm gonna eat me some Reese's Pieces.
Oh, by the way, this is completely unrelated, but my drawer over here has become a Takis drawer.
Ugh.
I just have a drawer full of Fuego Takis.
Takis are...
Hey man, Takis are the best chip on the market.
Oh, not even close.
I'm trying to get a Takis sponsorship, bro.
Is that like a thing during the stream? Like every time Homelander says cunt, you have to like, oh,
talk. But all right, so after that little standoff in the hallway at the court, John goes home. He flies back to L.A. It appears that Burke is also flying back to L.A., possibly on the same plane. It looks like I can't tell. I thought the camera just kind of panned back and they were on the same plane, but and then they land back in the neighborhood, and John starts saying hi to everybody in the neighborhood. Reunites with his little brother. He sees a friend of his little brother, and he asks him, is his brother still in prison? He says, man, that guy's got more time than a clock. And my next note, I don't remember exactly where it was. It was somewhere around here, though. But someone brought up something about an opportunity. And the way he goes, opportunity, it sounded like he had never heard the word opportunity before. And then, he goes home. He sees his grandma for the first time. And she's trying to make a souffle, so everybody's got to whisper, which I didn't know that was part of making a souffle, but
it's because they're so fragile that like anything could like really cave them in. That's the thing. That was the difference between you and I. That scene came on. She said she was making it. I'm like, and they're stomping around that house. I was like, that thing is not gonna rise. That was the difference. Like I felt for the grandmother so much.
Have you made a souffle before?
I have. And it's incredibly hard. Ours didn't break, and it's surprising because there's like 25 high school students running around the kitchen. So, but yeah, they're good.
So souffle does not come out right, comes out flat, but Grandma's just happy to have John home. She's talking to him, and then we see that beautiful Shaq smile. This is one thing I noticed watching this in Kazam. That man has a beautiful smile.
He really does, yeah.
And then after that, we cut to a scene where he goes to visit Sparky in the hospital, and he talks to her, and they have like a nice moment, and then she says, I'll come and see you when I'm back on my feet. And then it cuts to the nurse behind her going, and it is the funniest shit ever.
It's like the A-Train moment where he's like, well, maybe he can come see you next week. And he pans over to the doctor's like, he's not gonna
yeah, dude, it's like, it was like the most fucked up comical, just like, nah. No, she's not getting up.
Dude, that scene, it made me mad because it was really good, but the cuts, because it goes from that kind of like serious like hospital scene, and then he's on the bus and he's listening to Bust a Move. It was like it takes everything that they were kind of trying to build and throws it out the window.
Well, that song was in every movie in the 90s, so it had to be in there somewhere.
But it's the fact that they placed it like right at the end of the hospital. Like he's finally visiting for the first time in the hospital after all this. And it's just, oh my god.
Yeah, that shit was perfect.
It was not. It was
not the Bust a Move, but I swear that nurse nodding her head no was like, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that was some really funny shit. And then we have a scene where Burke shows up at a arcade manufacturer, like an arcade cabinet manufacturer. He walks into the main office, and there's like a group of like 6 people in this room. And the first thing he says is basically, hey, you slinging guns? He's not trying to be discreet at all. And the guy says, I don't do that. I'm a purveyor of arcade cabinets. And he says, you want to sell bigger guns? You want to take this conversation somewhere more private? Like, but we soon figure out that, you know, all these people are in on it. This guy is a weapons dealer, and he does want to sell bigger guns. And Burke has a disc that's got, I guess, the blueprints for the Iron's weapons on them. So the weapons that Sparky and John helped create are on this disc, and I'm just realizing that both Cool as Ice and Steel, the main guy's name is John.
You're the same person.
That just clicked for me. Vanilla Ice just, you know, grew and turned black.
It's like a Tropic Thunder, you know, hit bigger versions.
I'm the dude who plays the dude. I'm sorry. Oh, you're talking about him meeting the grandma, or we finally getting to see his grandmother. That house, it amazed me that when you saw it, it took the focus away from Shaq, which I didn't think was possible in a shot. It stood out more than him.
What, the house?
Yeah, the grandmother's house. It stood out more than Shaq in that shot. It was just, because you see they have these apartment complexes, and it's this pinkish or whatever color it was, little button house in the middle of this huge city. It didn't fit.
That's true. Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think about that. Well, and then,
oh, dude, it was such a sore thumb.
Well, and it had to look like that so that it could turn into a cafe later on.
But it also brings up the thing, how did they just not know who this dude was? Easy as shit. He's 7'1". That's one person in this entire city, and he lives here.
Well, the grandma figured it out.
Yeah, well, to be fair, never mind. Actually, I have something I want to bring up, but that's way later in the movie.
I just wrote down that the dialogue in this movie is very stiff, and it's a lot of them saying what is happening. Mm-hmm. The characters are always just saying what is happening instead of the movie just showing us and the characters reacting. They're like, "Oh man, this is happening right now," and then they describe it to you even though you're looking at it. I wish I had written down an example of it so that I had one right off the top of my head, but it was just an observation I wrote down while I was watching it. I was like, why are they keep describing what is happening?
No inner monologue.
And then, we see a group of guys rob a bank, and in this scene, they're using the Iron's weapons that Burke has put out on the street, and these guys break into this bank and they're all like, "Yeah! All right! Yeah!" I've never seen dudes so hyped in a bank robbery in a movie before. They're breakdancing almost while they're grabbing the money. They're just so hyped. But it's obviously... You said...
Sorry.
You said what?
I want to talk about the weapons.
Well,
because he calls it Big Willie, right? Or something. It looks like the E11 blaster from Star Wars.
It does.
That's all I could think about was just stormtroopers.
That was something I was thinking too. Is why do they have the blaster?
I was they revealed it, and I'm oh, they're borrowing props. They needed something for the movie. I was I can't believe George Lucas was fine with it.
And then the dude fires it, and the one girl's we don't need this weapon, and then he's look at the target, or the dude that fires it gets hurt, and then the guy's look at the target, and the target's half blown away, and then of course later on they shoot some guys with that same gun, and they just kind of get stunned and go to the ground. They don't get actually blown away or whatever. But that lady's well, watch your step, because, accidents can happen to you too. And then he says, all right, bitch, and cuts the lines to the elevator, basically, after he gets the guy with the deepest voice on planet Earth off the elevator.
You gotta save him.
And so then he sabotages the elevator, kills that lady, and then he says, I need somebody I can trust. Is that you? And the guy's like, yeah. And then Burke is clearly like inching for power in this company. But then, so we're at the bank robbery. They have these crazy weapons, and at the same time, John and his brother are getting like a ride along with a police officer. Who was that?
I don't know.
Like she was in the.
I watched the movie last night and don't remember a thing.
She was in that one scene, and she just didn't really come into play again. And
she kind of got killed.
But
she didn't die.
She like pretty much died.
So the officer friend gets called to the scene. They get attacked. John does his best to help. Can't really do a whole lot. And then he realizes, oh, these are our weapons. So he decides he's got to do something about it after trying his best to help out. I think he saves her. He like pulls her out of the car, and then the car explodes behind him.
Yep.
And nobody looks at it because cool guys don't look at explosions. And then he decides I gotta do something about this. And oh no, that's right. I think doesn't he? Is this when he has that chase? He chases one of the robbers, and
they literally just left one guy at the bank.
Yeah.
Dude, that chase scene pissed me off.
Oh, because they're just playing around on trains.
The music, it was just like a techno kind of beeping, or like I don't know what it was. It didn't fit the chase. And then there's that scene where he runs past the train as the carts are connecting. You see it 3 times, and then they get a close-up of the couplers attaching. Like, it didn't build any tension to the scene. Like, I didn't need to see that. and I could see that the train was, like, 20 feet away from him. Like, it wasn't that close.
And then after, like, a 5-minute scene where, he's chasing this kid, he saves a guy who's about to get his head run over on the train track. Then he has this kid, and he says, tell me where you found that weapon, or you're gonna find, he says, tell me where you found it, or you'll find my fist in your mouth.
Oh.
And then of course the other guys show up, blast him, he gets knocked down. And then he I don't know if he gets knocked out or what, I can't remember exactly, but the next scene is him going to Sparky. We need Sparky now. We gotta get Sparky involved, and she is depressed and staring out a window at some sort of rehab center for vets. And there's a couple things that stood out to me during this scene. So he kind of has this pep talk with her. He opens up the window, and then he starts, it looks like getting ready to throw her ass out the window is what I thought was about to happen. I was like, why is he about to throw her out the window? But no, then he basically convinced her, like, we need to go. And then he picks her up and starts carrying her out. And for some reason, everybody in this place starts cheering. Yeah! Like she was the worst fucking person, and they were just so happy she was leaving. Like, how bad was she in there that they were all just, like, about to throw a fucking pizza party?
He first walks into the room and is talking to her. She just stared. She will not look at him, and her eyes weren't moving, and it bothered me. Like there was no eye contact at all, and it was like a weird because she was looking like just off camera. It was so awkward.
Well, to be honest, she gives the best performance of the movie.
Uncle Joe?
You think Uncle Joe's the best performance? He had the best line.
Him or grandma. Him or grandma.
So yeah, then he takes her. I don't know why at this point I decided to write down Shaq looks confused the entire movie. He doesn't seem to know what's going on. Like they kind of just like put him in front of the camera and he's like, what is happening right now? Just do this. And then he just does it. So they have this whole montage where they build his suit, and yeah, Uncle Joe's introduced, and yeah, he has that line, you'd be surprised what falls off the back of a truck. And then Sparky kind of gets her confidence back a little bit, and they build his suit. And I think there's also that moment where she falls out of the wheelchair, and they just kind of watch her struggle for like 5 minutes.
I think
It's
Uncle
really
Joe
messed
tries
up.
to help her, and then John's like, no, let her do it herself.
Yeah, but
Like, stop, point and laugh.
still, they're just staring at her the whole time, and it's just, I don't know, something about it was just like, you couldn't at least just like be like, hey, are you all right? She literally didn't get up for like a solid minute or two, and you didn't even say, hey, are you okay? Did you knock yourself out there? Like, but so yeah, she gets back in her chair. They finish the montage of the suit building, and then he goes and takes it for a joyride. And how the hell are you walking around with like 60 pounds of steel on you like he's
75?
moving 75 pounds of steel?
Damn it, Devin.
What?
Yeah, that
Just
was
watch the
a
movie.
constant nag throughout the entire movie. And there's one scene where he saves the cop, you know?
Yeah.
He just kind of falls on top of him. Crush him.
Because he's over 7 feet tall. How much he weighs more than the suit. But then you're adding like that hard shell onto it. Like, yeah, the man was at least concussed. One thing I love during the forging scene is when Uncle Joe comes over, and it's not like one of these DC like meta jokes where he's like, what is it, Johnny Iron? He's like the Man of Steel.
Yep.
Well, and he's Shaq. I think it was just his actual tattoo, but he's got the Man of Steel Superman tattoo.
He does.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys saw the Shaq episode of MTV Cribs. Did either of you ever see that? It's like the one I remember the most because like everything in his house was Superman themed. He even had his bed was the shape of the Superman symbol. Like Shaq looks at himself like he's Superman. So I feel like this was almost like he was like, I can be the Man of Steel. I can basically be Superman in this. I'll do this movie. And now my question is this in the DCEU? Like if we
Yes.
ever get that Ezra Miller Flash movie, if they still end up deciding
He's
to
gonna be
release
in the
that,
background.
he's gonna show up at some point.
I'd like to at least see his hammer somewhere, like he's a little Easter egg. Oh god, I keep forgetting the free throw joke, because we already gotten one.
Oh my god.
I'm so happy that they brought that up. He's like, I never was good at the free throws.
So yeah, he gets involved with a gang shootout for his first real bite of crime, and he basically jumps in between these two groups of characters. One group is running away. He gets in between them and a car full of cholos that are shooting SMGs out the window. And one of them yells at him, "Hey, you! I'm gonna smoke you like a blunt," which. If I'm not mistaken, this was a kids movie or geared towards kids. And there's a few lines in this movie that I think are a little questionable for that, but yeah, he says, "I'll smoke you like a blunt," and then they unload on him. Nothing happens, and then we get the iconic finger wag that we saw in the trailer where he just and then they get out of or they try to hit him. They try to run him over. He uses his hammer, flips the car, and then does the electromagnetic thing where he just has every weapon kind of stick to him, and then
Stole that guy's clutch too.
and then yeah, so they all run away. A couple of guys, I couldn't tell which group they were from, try to fight him, and Sparky's like, behind you, and so he turns around and fights them, and they're like, oh my god, he's got eyes in the back of his head, and they like run away. And I noticed Sparky called him Babe, which was interesting. I didn't know how to take that in the moment. Like, I didn't know if there was something going on between them or something, but and then yeah, so they run away, and I think the cops show up right around then. They think that he's part of the gang or whatever, and they get out of the car to like arrest him, and then he uses a grappling hook, and he shoots up, and
hold on. They said, put your hands up.
Oh yeah.
Wait.
So he puts them up, right? And it's just
and then he
way up.
And then yeah, somehow this tiny cable lifts 75 pounds of steel and a whole shack.
Yeah. Also lifts him straight into the air instead of towards the
wall. Yeah. like he attached to a helicopter. Oh, what do you got there, Beck?
Watermelon?
Oh, dude, I just got a watermelon at Costco today.
Oh, wow, you get a Costco?
Oh, hell yeah, bro. Okay. Kirkland is the shit. But yeah, and the cop that tells him to put his hands up is I don't know if they couldn't get Reginald Val Johnson from Family Matters, but instead they just got a guy that kind of looked like Carl Winslow.
Also, that's the guy from Die Hard.
No, you're thinking of Reginald Val Johnson.
Oh,
yeah, you're thinking of Carl Winslow. This is a guy that looks exactly like Carl Winslow, because I think they wanted Carl Winslow, but they could not get him. Yeah, Reginald Val Johnson was a big deal back then. He was also in Ghostbusters. He was a cop in Ghostbusters too. He's literally just a cop in everything, and it was because
you can't really brag about that. It was Ghostbusters 2.
No, it was the first Ghostbusters.
Oh, I thought you said it was 2.
No, he was also in Ghostbusters, and again he played a cop, because that was his whole thing. Was everyone wanted Carl Winslow to be a cop in their movie in the 90s. So I think it was the same deal with this, but he said no, so they just got a stunt double or something. I don't know. But yeah, because I thought it was him at first, and then I had to look it up, and I'm like, no, that's not him. He looks too thin, his nose is a little more wide, and then I was like, yeah, that's not him. So I just thought that was funny. I don't know why that was the cop look for movies back then, but so yeah, then this cable lifts steel up, and we have like kind of the rooftop runaway scene, and at some point during this scene, that's when we get the my favorite line in the movie, where Uncle Joe goes, well, dip me in shit and roll me in breadcrumbs. And everything about it, the content of the line, the delivery of the line, everything about that line is like maybe my favorite line in all three of these movies. And then yeah, there's that moment where the one piece of the leg comes off, and I thought that was unintentional at first, and I still think it might have been, and then they just wrote it into the movie.
That would have been great.
Just like a piece of the suit fell off. They're like, oh, that's good, write that into the script, we'll use that. And then there's I wrote down, somebody says just a little trashed. Can somebody fill me in? I'm a little foggy on when that was.
Oh. It's when he's rappelling down the building and the line snaps and he falls and hits the dumpster.
Oh,
and Sparks is like, are you okay? And he's like, Just a little trash.
That's right. And then, yeah, so then he gets on his motorcycle. We get an awesome motorcycle chase scene. And then, and then he goes in. They have like the drawbridge type setup for the door to the scrapyard. And then a whole pile of trash is actually like a made of metal or something. So there's a door on that, and it lifts up, and he drives in it. And then we get the Batman reference.
Yeah. And they're like, where'd he go?
The Batcave. I loved how fed up that guy was with all his like partners shit. You're just so done.
And then we get a scene which really confused me. I didn't understand the entire point, but Burke is sitting on a park bench. He's got a hot dog next to him, but he's not eating it. And then the one dude sits down next to him. He's got like a chain. He gives him some shit about his chain. Dude tucks the chain, and then he explains like the situation to him, and then he says, because then he offers him the hot dog. The dude's like, I don't eat that pork mess. And then he's like, it's not pork, it's turkey. And so then the dude starts eating it, and then Burke has the line, eat the hot dog, don't be one. And then walks away. Can one of you tell me what the hell that's supposed to mean?
It sets up, the ending scene.
Yeah, I kind of saw it coming, but I was trying to understand what the context of him saying that to that dude was. Like,
so we could have a cool reminder at the end.
That's another one that I think I'm going to start using on people. I was going to be like, eat the hot dog, don't be one. And then, yeah, so then the next scene is the guys have those E11 blasters, and they're robbing the Federal Reserve. And you know it's the Federal Reserve because there's a giant sign on the building that says Federal Reserve right above where they blow the hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And that's where they shoot those guys with those weapons that earlier in the movie like completely eviscerated a target, and now just kind of like it's on stun mode, I guess, because it just knocks those dudes to the ground. And that's when we I believe does Steel show up there again? I believe Steel shows up there again, and that's
when he saves.
That's when he saves General Store Carl Winslow from the crashing helicopter, and then he gets away again, right? He gets away.
There's another motorcycle chase,
There's another motorcycle chase, and then it cuts to, I believe, him at his grandma's.
Well, it cuts to Burke, right?
Is this when Burke...
Because then he's the one... Doesn't he give them the tip?
Yeah, well, yeah, he gives them the tip, and then also, I think it also shows him talking to Martin, John's brother.
Yeah, that's true.
At the building, and he's like, you can call me the man or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he gets the info on Steel, and so then he uses that as a tip and tips off the cop. So then cuts to John at his grandma's, and all of a sudden fucking SWAT busts in, arrests John. He, like, puts his earpiece in his mouth, so he's silent for the next, like, scene, and he's in a lineup. And the old couple that earlier in the movie he like, saved or got their stuff back to him, they don't want to ID him because, he helped them. And then the knockoff Carl Winslow goes in there because he's got to ID him, and then he also doesn't ID him because he saved him. So, because of the good deeds that he's done through the movie, it pays off, and he doesn't, I don't know, go to prison or whatever for undisclosed reasons. I guess being a vigilante. I don't know.
There was a worse crime committed, though, and it was that the grandmother's souffle got destroyed again.
Yeah.
It made me sad.
Her souffle could not win during this movie.
Yep.
And then there's a moment where Sparky and Joe are talking in the scrapyard, and she says something about how you. I think this is after he gets out, because then they like hack. They like do this weird shit where they call. It's one of those things where they're like doing shit that isn't really a thing, where they call the district attorney or whatever, and they copy his voice pattern, so then they can just like imitate him over the phone, and then they hack in and get his signature, and they apply it to something and fax that over, so they get him out. And then they have like a moment where Joe is like encouraging him, even though he's got like a couple broken ribs or whatever. And then he leaves, and she says something to Joe about like, you lean on him a lot. And he's like, well, that's because, he can do it, this and that. He's like, and that's why I love him. And that's the reason I love you, Sparky. And I was like, whoa, slow down there, Joe. Slow your roll. Y'all just met.
Yeah, so like they hadn't known each other very long. He's like, and that's why I love you.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who found that kind of like crushed.
And then so then it cuts to Burke is trying to distribute the weapons more. And they're trying to figure out where you can get them, and I think she says like, where else? The internet. And then it cuts to a montage of like people going on the web to get these weapons, and the one Nazi's like, and this is another one of those questionable lines for a movie that's supposed to be for kids. The Nazi goes, in this day and age, we can pick up all kinds of cool crap, not just porno.
Oh yeah, relatable.
And then, so then I believe, because all of these guys have now seen the weapons on the news, so they all want one. And so they figure out that there's going to be an auction, and Steele is going to go stop this auction. And so Joe and him are riding in a van. And this is another one of my favorite moments of this movie, but I think like John kind of winces. I keep almost calling him Shaq, but he's John. But he's really Shaq. He's literally not Shaq. Trying, so...
You can't... He's on screen and he's Shaq. He's not anybody else.
But Shaq is wincing a little bit, and Sparky goes, those broken ribs are really bothering you, huh? And he just goes, nah. Just, nah. And then of course Burke and company like break in and kidnap Sparky. And then we end up at the auction, and there's like the big reveal where the hot dog was actually pork. That's probably the biggest twist of the movie. And Steele does the old trick with the hammer. He kind of does reverse psychology on Burke, gets him to flip the red switch. Hammer sticks to Steele. All the weapons start sticking to Steele. And then Sparky all of a sudden activates her wheelchair and starts shooting around the room. And I love how she like shoots one round, and then it cuts to showing Steele, and like the next 8 of her rounds just hit him. Like, there's no discretion for where she's shooting. She's just spinning around, shooting everybody.
Spinning in a circle.
And then he's like, or she like blasts one of those sonic things out of the other side. And then he says, go on, get out of here quick, Sparky. And then she's like, is this quick enough? And then like her chair starts shooting like steam out of the back, but she just starts going at like a regular wheelchair pace. It's not even like super fast. It's just a regular pace for that kind of chair. And then somebody like throws a grenade at him.
Oh my!
How long? Yeah, how long does it take for a grenade to go?
The longest fucking fuse I've
his
ever
brother
seen.
picks it up and is just holding it. Like, what do we do? You got to do the free throw, man. And then we get the redeeming grenade free throw. He does the basketball. It like bounces off the side of what's supposed to be a net, but it's the hole in the fence. It finally goes out, and then it lands next to the guy with the deepest voice in the world, and instead he lets out the highest pitched "No!" It is amazing. And then so that guy's done. Burke ends up getting killed under a bunch of collapsing rubble that catches on fire, and they save the day. They beat the bad guys. They get away, and then the general guy, he still wants to know who Steele is. He ends up on a phone call with him, but they're using that voice transition thing again, the thing that changes their voice, and now it's like a bad impersonation of Arnold Schwarzenegger that they're using. And basically, the general kind of figures out that it is John, but he doesn't get the real confirmation, but he knows. And then we see everybody happy hanging out at Grandma's new cafe house. She's turned her house into a whole ass restaurant cafe place. Finally got the souffle. Finally nailed the souffle. And then there's this nice moment where everybody's smiling, and then Sparky's like, "Hey, check this out." And then her wheelchair does that thing where it like stands up. and everyone's like, "Yeah." And then the music goes, "Stand up." And then it starts playing the ending credit music, and I lost my shit at that moment. And that's the end of the movie. That's Steele. But I don't know if that was intentional or she just like does that stand up and I was like, "Stand up." It's so great.
When they're like having that little lunch at like the grandmother's cafe, they're all sitting around the table talking like nobody else at the table knows that he's Steele, and it really bothered me because they're trying to be secret, like all of you know. I'm like,
Well, they don't know who knows who doesn't know. They're trying to keep it. Don't tell Grandma. Remember, don't tell Grandma.
But Grandma knew.
Yeah, but still, don't tell her.
However, the souffle looks good though. Also, she just had the daily special ready to go.
Yep, of course she did.
That's unrealistic. Let me tell you, that doesn't happen.
Well, she probably had it ready for them special. She knew they were coming.
She was like, "Well, what do you want?" He's like, "I want the special, Mama." And then she just throws it down in front of him. Like, how long have you been walking around with that, waiting for somebody to ask for that?
It was already made. She just had orders made, ready to go.
But that's not how it works.
Well, as a general, excuse me, as a general movie goer, we don't know these things. All right, we're not in the biz of serving up the finest cuisine, so we don't know how this shit works. Sorry, we don't have the inside scoop you got, Mr. Culinary.
It's just, man.
Would you eat at her restaurant?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Even if it was bad, you just gotta have fun with it, man. So that's the thing that like. She was like a Cajun spin on French food, but a lot of Cajun food's kind of derivative because they even have a French dialect.
Black and bleu.
I love that name. But yeah. Sorry, I don't have anything else to add about Steele. That movie.
Sam, you got anything else to add on Steele?
Not really.
No. All right, well then I guess we'll move on to my favorite of the three, the one that I think this is such a bad movie. I couldn't help but love it, and that's Mr.Nanny. So I will go ahead and pull up the trailer for Mr.Nanny. And now this is what sold me. Like I said, Sam, you weren't here. Like usually when we get done with these, me and Beck will talk for a little bit, and we were trying to figure out what this week's was going to be, and we were just trying to find movies that would fit this like template, and this was one I found, and I watched the trailer and was like, holy shit, we're doing this. And it's got the fucking epic trailer voice again, like... Yes. Let me pull this up. All right.
He's wrestled the biggest and the baddest, but now he's about to face...
What the heck was that?
The toughest fight of all. Kids.
All you have to do is protect them.
I hate kids.
Just want to get rid of the last nanny. He brings home a bodyguard.
I don't want anything to happen to Sean.
What could possibly happen?
They're small.
I hope your Blue Cross is paid up.
I can handle myself.
They're mean.
Electromagnet.
And they've got the place wired.
It's only low voltage. Can't kill him. I think we're getting to him.
I can't believe this fearless giant is cowering because of 2 little innocent children.
They would do anything to get rid of him.
Oops, tripwire. And flour.
I've had it. And just when he thought it couldn't get any worse, real trouble showed up.
Like the family I never had. And never wanted.
And left.
Auf Wiedersehen.
With the kids. Now, he's got to bring them back. Because he's not just a babysitter. He's Mr. Nanny.
Gotta admit, he's one tough mother.
I got a job to do and I'm doing it.
You have to kiss Dolly.
I don't kiss dollies.
Kiss her.
Don't tell anybody I did that.
New Line Cinema presents Hulk Hogan.
Both of you, to the principal's office.
Man, some things never change.
As you've never seen him before.
Keep the back straight. Make the arms a bow.
Mr. Nanny. He's no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Get that pinky up.
So, so I did not believe that was a real movie when I first saw. Like, I was looking at this and I was watching it, and like, it slowly dawned on me that this might be a real movie. But I was like, when I first started, I was like, "There's no way." So yeah, this is a movie starring the Hulkster Hogan. And right off the bat, it opens with a really strange choice of like nightmare situation, like a nightmare scene where he's just having this nightmare of getting his ass whooped. And again, this is supposed to be like a family kids movie, and it starts out, it's like got this terrifying sounding music, and he just keeps getting hit, and then there's like a it's also kind of annoying. Every time a new credit shows up on screen, it freezes. So it's almost like it starts, it plays like a second, and it freezes again. And it was almost like the movie was having trouble buffering, but it was just the way that the credits are, and it's like black and white. He's getting his ass beat, and there's this like terrifying music. And I was trying to figure out like why this is the scene they chose to set the tone for the movie with, and then I realized this is a Saw style horror film.
Yes, exactly.
This is
like, did you ever see Terrifier or not Terrifier? Oh my God, it's like Home Alone meets. It's like if Kevin from Home Alone grew up to be like super sadistic.
Yeah.
The Collector.
I don't think
You ever see that?
I have not, but I did see Terrifier.
I meant to say Collector, but no, it's exactly what I thought of, because it's literally them keeping him like trapped in the house and just torturing him.
It is fucked up.
It's like they should be in jail.
So yeah, it has this nightmare sequence, and then it shows it snaps out of it. Hulk wakes up, he's fishing, he catches a fish. Oh my god. Hold on, I got... Oh my Lanta.
You good?
I think so. He catches a fish. He ends up letting it go. And then he starts getting roasted by a small man named Bert who walks onto the dock. And he's like, "How'd you find me, Bert?" And I don't remember exactly what he says. But then Bert goes right into, "Well, I got a job for you, this and that." It's like he's been looking for him for some amount of time. And he just right away cuts to the chase with, "I got a job for you."
Oh.
That job being security for a gentleman named Alex Mason. And Bert really needs this job because he needs the money. He hasn't eaten in like a week. He doesn't want charity. He just wants a job. So, Sean is his name in the movie, agrees to take the job. And then he's riding his motorcycle to the job, and it starts playing what I can only describe as the worst fucking song I have ever heard in my life. It's like, I guess it ended up being called Rough Stuff is the name of the song, and that was actually also the working title for the movie. It's a song made specifically for this movie. So that's probably why it's so bad, because it's on the same level as the movie itself. But, so he goes to this job, and right away security is like overtly aggressive. Security's like, what are you doing here? Like, blah, blah. And then he's like, "Well, I'm here for a job or something." And then they keep giving him shit. And he's like, "Well, I just don't take crap from monkeys in suits." And then they start trying to beat him with batons. And then it turns into Hulk Hogan trying to murder these men.
And he assaults 4 guards.
He assaults 4 guards, and he attempts to murder one of them by smashing their head through a concrete wall. And of course, Alex is watching out the window. He's like, "Wow, he's amazing. Get him in here now." He goes in there. They explain, so, while he's in there and they're kind of talking to him about the job, Alex goes to open his drawer and the fucking thing explodes. And then he gets a phone call. He answers the phone. He's like, "Who is this?" And the guy on the other line is like, "Oh, just your average psychotic criminal genius." Which, okay, he's gonna just describe himself that way. That's alright. So basically, the bad guy. And this is when I wrote, no one can act in this movie. Nobody is trying to act in this movie. It's like a movie full of shacks.
Yeah.
And then they ask him. They say, "What do you know about chips?" And he says, "Well, I prefer nacho cheese myself." And then the one guy, Frank, he's like, he doesn't know anything about computer chips. And then he goes on he has this little line where he describes what a computer chip is. And I asked myself, how many times did they have to explain that line to him for him to be able to say it? Like, he probably fucked that up a few times.
No, what do you mean? Hulk Hogan
He knows about computer chips and their inner workings. And then they describe it as the chip for the Peacemaker, which is a device that I just wrote stops wars, because apparently it shoots down any missile of any size from any country. It's basically the end all be all of peace devices. And Hulk Hogan decides to play with it like it's a model airplane, breaks it. And then he says, so you want me to protect this chip? And they say, no, I need you to protect my kids. He says, what? I hate kids. And now...
Hey, same, bro.
And now we have the setup for the movie. So then he goes to the house, and they get out of the limo, and a woman runs out of the house with her head on fire. and his first response is, everybody hit the deck. And so they all get down on the ground, and then the lady does like a nosedive into the fountain and gets the hell out of there. And
how did she not break her neck, by the way? Because like she had some speed, and that dive was straight down.
She may have. I mean, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of concern for the safety of any of the staff in that house.
No.
I mean, there wasn't even any concern for the kids. Like, Alex was just kind of like there to eat, and that's about it. Eat, sleep, and go back to work. So, these kids are trying to murder their nannies. It becomes clear very quick. Now, he is not the nanny, mind you. He's bodyguard. But there's no nanny on staff at the moment, so he must fill that role for the time being. And of course, so then we're kind of getting introduced to the house and the kids, and Sean is in the kitchen. And for some reason, he turns around and sees a pie and starts to stick his whole hand into it. He's just putting his finger in it, and then, of course, he gets attacked by sassy black lady stereotype. And she's like, what the hell are you doing in my kitchen? And, she's like, haha, you're the new nanny, this and that. He's like, I'm not the new nanny. She's like, well, why don't you just go to your room, get comfortable. He goes to his room, and then he is almost assassinated with a fucking bowling ball. like Home Alone style, this thing just comes flying out. Well, first he sees a tripwire, which I guess the tripwire was literally just to trip him. It wasn't to trigger anything. And then, he opens the closet, and he almost gets killed by a falling bowling ball. And I wrote, my notes went like this. The next two notes were, holy shit, they just killed him with a bowling ball. But it's just kids being kids. And then, right after that, holy shit, they just killed him with the stairs. Because then they trip him on the stairs, and he goes tumbling down like a whole flight of stairs that are like marble. And then he sits down on, I think, broken glass. They like filled his seat with broken glass. Like, these kids are fucking psychotic.
Oh yeah, no, it's like genuine. Like they had a hit list. Like in the pantry, like they should not be out in public at all.
Oh yeah, we'll get to. There's something I had on that too, and we'll get to that. But so then they're at dinner, and we start to see that Alex is like a neglectful father. He's not really involved with his kids' lives all that much, but he says, let's go get some ice cream. He's gonna reward the kids that just tried to murder the new employee 3 separate times. Yeah, let's go get some ice cream. You kids are good. And then he starts, like, his pager goes off. But the way the kid's just like, Dad, you're beeping. I thought he was going to be like, are you a robot? Like, just the way it's delivered. And then he's like, oh no, we're going to have to take a rain check on the ice cream. And then it cuts to Frank, the head of security at the office. He gets a call from Thanos. I mean, Thanatos. Thanatos. But all I could think of was Thanos.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks like a bad guy from like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, with his metal dome on his head. Which also the story behind that is kind of fucked up, and I don't understand how somebody would have survived what that dude did and just have a metal plate exposed on the top of his head. But So then we meet Thanatos. He's like an over-the-top villain. He's got like an evil lair in a warehouse with a pit of water. And then we cut back to the fucking Winchester horror house. And Sean is walking down the hallway and he peeks his head into Alex Jr.'s room. And he has like one of the coolest rooms I've ever seen. I don't understand what it is with kids in the 90s movies having like these ridiculously awesome looking rooms. But they always made me so jealous when I was a kid. Like, that was the kind of room I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was the same. I don't know if you guys, I doubt you did, but I don't know if either of you watched Kazam. But it was the same thing there where the kid in that had like a really cool room. It wasn't as cool as the kid in this movie, but he also had a lot less money. But, so, yeah, he's got a badass bedroom. He keeps walking around, and then I don't know how it happens again, but eventually he says the line again, "I hate kids." And it's like there's no emotion behind it. It's like Shaq just delivered the line. And then he ends up having to drive the kids to school. So he drives the kids to school. He ends up sitting in class with what's her name? Kate. He sits in class with her.
Kat?
No, not Kat. Kate. Different. We're off of Cool as Ice. We're no longer talking about that movie.
Off of it.
But yeah, so he's talking to or he's in class with Kate. Somehow they are causing a disruption or something in the class, so the teacher sends both of them to the principal's office. While they're sitting there, like, we see that he went to that school and his initials are scraped into the desk. They're the bench outside the principal's office. The principal comes out, recognizes his name, and you just see like this broken look of fear behind this man's eyes as Hulk Hogan stands up and he's like, yeah, Kate can go back to class. She's such a good kid. And then Hulk Hogan's just like, man, who are you kidding? And then walks away. and then we see that Alex is getting bullied and mugged for his lunch money at school. And Hulk Hogan's like, man, I hate bullies. And, but, you know, Kate says, don't do anything. Don't get involved. I like to watch him get his ass beat. And so he gets his lunch money taken. And then on the way back home, you know, he's talking to him. He's like, you know, I could teach you how to defend yourself. And he's like, shut up. Don't talk about it. I just drive us home. And then, you know, he basically, he gets home, he gets out of the car, he goes inside, and then he tears that hat they made him wear up, and he starts throwing a fit. And then it cuts to him trying to get his workout on. He goes into the in-home gym, and the kids are in there toying around with the weight equipment, jerry-rigging it with some sort of weird electrical device that they have, or electromagnetic device that the kid built, because he's also a super genius. And of course he doesn't think anything is suspicious when they're in there, and they've already tried to kill him, and now they're around the weight equipment he's about to use, but he's like, no, I'll use that in a little bit. What's this thing? Like, he's never seen an elliptical before. They say, oh, or a bike machine, whatever you want to call it. So then they're like, oh, it's cool. It's like a bike. And then he gets on it and they set it to coronary mode, because all bikes that are for working out have a coronary mode. I'm noticing you guys don't have a lot to say about this movie.
No.
I was very interested.
Man.
Listen, you got me 2 out of 3.
So
I mean, I will say the one thing, they tried to make you feel bad for the kids, and then almost works, but then you remember that they're monsters. maybe their dad's not so bad.
So now he's trying to work out. He's trying to pump some iron, and they basically try to almost break his neck with the weight equipment, or I mean, if that thing had fallen on him, it could have taken his head clean off. But yeah, they start fucking with the gym equipment. The barbell shoots up into the ceiling, and then it drops down, smashes the bench. And at this point, he still has not called the cops or left or anything. He decides, I'm going to go take a shower. And then this is the most blatant attempt on his life of the whole movie, is they just have like some sort of wires set up in there to electrocute him. And he starts getting electrocuted, and Alex says, it's just a little voltage, it's not gonna kill him. So Kate's like, turn it up then. Like, let's kill this motherfucker. So yeah, it's surprising for a kid who's so smart with that stuff to not understand the dangers of electricity, and then for her to be so psychotic as to really want to roast this man. At this point, I would have called the cops. I would have left. I would have told everybody I knew, stay the fuck away from that house. I would have been planted outside the front gate of that property, warning people away when they're showing up for the new nanny position. Like, and then the dad comes home and he sees the gym's all messed up, and he's just like, "What happened here?" And they're like, "Yeah, we destroyed the gym and this and that." And he's like, "Well, nobody got hurt, so I guess it's all right." And that's when I just wrote, "Dad's a pussy. Punish these fucking monsters." It's just insane. And then we cut back to Alex's office, and Frank has got Thanatos in the office with his cronies. They're trying to break into the vault, and it doesn't go well. There's nothing in the vault. Alex has taken the microchip home with him.
You're just gonna skip over the part where the German guy just pulls the safe out of the
Oh,
wall.
I was gonna, yeah, I mean, so yeah, he rips the, I actually thought that was like a notable wrestler or something. No, he's just some no-name actor guy. But yeah, he pulls the safe out of the wall, says some German stuff, opens it up, nothing in there. And then Frank's like, all right, why don't you hit me so that it looks better, so that it doesn't look like I set this up. And the one guy doesn't do it, and then the German guy's gonna do it, and he's like, you know what, actually, I'm good. And then he gets fucking clocked, and in the next scene when we see him, he's got a fucking neck brace and like a metal thing around his head so that, you know, his neck can heal. Like, this dude wrecked him. He's got like things in his mouth because his teeth are all fucked up. And actually, I thought from then on, Frank was a pretty funny character with just the cards ready to go, the note cards. But yeah, so then we cut back to the house, and Kate is impressed that the man has survived the gauntlet of dangers they've thrown at him. So she's like, I don't think we should try and mess with him anymore. He's actually all right. Alex Jr. says, well, you know what? If he survives the pit of blood, then I won't mess with him anymore. And so they throw him into the pit of blood. Of course, he makes it out of it, and then he punishes them. He says, all right, you're going to sit here. And Dad comes home and sees them sitting there. He's like, wow, what are you guys doing? And they're like excited to be punished. Because again, these kids are fucking psychos. So, the dad's impressed. He walks away, and then they start making fun of Sean. And then there's that scene where he like puts them to bed. He puts Kate to bed. She says, kiss the dolly. He's like, I don't kiss dollies. She's like, kiss the dolly. And so he kisses the dolly, and then Alex has to go to his office. But she, in the same scene, she wants Sean to sing to her, so he sings to her, and then she's like, take Dolly, protect her. So Sean's walking away with Dolly. Alex wants to see Dolly. He takes Dolly, and he sticks the microchip into Dolly's eye. So now we have the microchip on the kid's, well, it's on Sean's person, but he's unaware of it. And then, so, where am I? Okay, so then, basically, Sean tells the dad, like, you need to be more involved with these kids, like, because he's about to leave. He's about to go out of town. He needs to go somewhere. Frank's going to pick him up, take him to the airport. So he's like, before you leave, you really need to say goodbye to them. So he has these moments with the kids that are actually kind of nice, pretty touching. And this is where I started to think, okay, one person in this movie can act, and it's the dad. He's trying, at least. With what the script has given him, he's trying. So then Frank shows up. He starts whipping out those note cards as, like, ready answers for Alex, and then Alex gets in the limo, and plot twist, the driver is one of Thanatos, one of his cronies, and I loved that moment in the limo where he's like, Frank's like, he like hands him a card, and he's like, what? You're working for Thanatos? Why? And then he hands him another one. He's like, money! It's just so great. And then, so then we cut back to the house, and Bert shows up. Bert is Sean's backup. He shows up. He gets to meet everybody in the house, and then...
I think you skipped the part where Frank gets ejected out of the limo.
Oh yeah, Frank does get ejected out of the limo, and that's I think that's
the dad's like, he's just using you. Once he's done with you, he's gonna get rid of you. And he pulls out a card that says, "Ha!"
yeah.
And then he gets ejected out of the limo.
So yeah, and that's the end of Frank. I don't think we see Frank again in the movie. And yeah, so then Bert shows up, and Bert gets to know the kids, the lady in the kitchen, and he kind of ingratiates himself into the situation, and now we have Bert as kind of backup, and they take Alex and Kate to school the next day, and this is after, like, Sean has shown Alex how to, like, intimidate somebody without really having the muscle to back it up. He's like, you can still, like, just punk him out. So they take him to school, and, Bert starts offering Alex a plethora of weapons to take this kid out at school. I love it. He's like, brass knuckles, lead pipe, hit him with the old, blackjack. And he's like, no, I got it, don't worry. And then he tries to fucking assassinate this kid with the same electrical device he used on Sean earlier. And the look on the bully's face when it happens was probably the most realistic response to something like that in the whole movie. He literally looked like somebody just tried to murder him. Like, the fear on his face. And then he ran. He was like stunned for a minute. He looked, and then he just ran away. It was hilarious.
At least the kid wasn't covered in water.
Yes, this is true. And then this is when I wrote down, everybody in this movie is crazy. This world feels like a dream somebody has while huffing nitrous. Because it's just like nothing in this movie feels all that real. It feels like I'm you're imagining that this movie is happening to you while you're watching it. And then case in point, literally right after I wrote that, we see Hulk Hogan in a tutu. And he's learning how to be less clumsy, having a tea party, and then as he's having this happen, Bert's like, what the hell is going on here? And then that's when the bad guys crash through the front door. There's a fight scene. The wallet is used again to stun another person. I think the wallet gets used like 3 times in this movie. So the guy gets stunned, but it doesn't really do anything. Eventually, they scoop up the kids and they grab Bert and they run out the door. And I want to make sure I didn't miss. Oh, okay. So I did skip this. I didn't mean to skip this, but this was my favorite part of the whole movie. Was when Bert first shows up and he's kind of introducing himself to everybody. He says, I took a bullet for this guy. And then we get a flashback. And the flashback shows Thanatos with hair being over the top, yelling at them in the locker room about how they were supposed to throw the fight, this and that. And they start roasting his hair. And he's like, you screw me over and then you make fun of my head? You're dead. And then he goes to shoot him. And, Bert has been talking this moment up like it was so epic. I thought he, did that thing where he's like, no! And he jumps in front of him. No, he literally just turns and kind of hugs Sean and goes, no! And then he gets shot. And the only thing that I noticed was, because it was so goofy looking, I was like, did that bullet was that going to hit him? Like, it almost seemed like he wasn't even actually going to hit him, and he kind of just threw himself into the line of fire. But then I rewind it, and I looked, and he actually did save Sean, because if he hadn't jumped in front of him, that bullet would have went right through his nuts.
Yep.
That bullet would have castrated this man. So...
Also, Thanatos had 1 bullet in the gun. Yeah. He ran out.
And then that's when he jumped off the roof and nosedived into an empty pool.
I'm pretty sure he gets thrown off, right?
Or yeah, maybe that's what happened. Yeah, so that's because Sean chases him. So yeah, he throws him into an empty pool. Again, like I said, everybody in this movie is fucking crazy. But yeah, so back to where I was. Kids get kidnapped. They get taken to Thanatos along with Bert. Thanatos recognizes Bert. He's like, oh man, now I can get revenge and have lots of money in the same night? Amazing. This is great. And they call the house. The police are there, but somehow they don't want to listen in on the phone call. So they talk to Sean. They basically tell him it's Thanatos. Grab, the toilet seat for some reason. Did that toilet seat become... the only thing it was a horseshoe. He used it as a horseshoe at one point, and that was it. Even though it had all these it looked like electric bits on it, it didn't do anything. And then he grabs the wallet, the infamous wallet, and so he uses that on a guard, and he ends up taking some dudes out, and he gets into the lair. And he ends up fighting Thanatos, and he uses that toilet seat as a horseshoe on the big German guy. Somehow a toilet seat takes this dude out, even though he fucking hit this dude 4 times with full force in the house, and it did nothing. A toilet seat made this dude hit the ground. And then, they end up, electrocuting Thanatos to death and shooting his ass up into space. And then they have this nice little moment. They all hug and it's happy. And then it flash forwards to them at the house. And, they're like, I guess now Bert is a full-time security guard at the house. And everybody's happy. The dad is now close to his kids again. Hulk Hogan helped bring this family together. And now it's his time to leave. So then he hugs everybody, says goodbye, and then he starts driving away. And then you notice that the kids have hooked a cord up to the back of his bike. So he starts driving away, and this cord starts unraveling, and they just give each other this sly little look, and then they look up and they're like, we're going to make him stay. And then he fucking flies over his handlebars, and I was just like, yeah, stay in the fucking hospital. And then that's the end of the movie. It freezes and it starts playing that song Rough Stuff. And yeah, that's the end of that movie.
Thank you for that. I really need to experience that movie again.
You guys really hated it that badly, huh?
I
That was
did not
not
like
a good movie.
You couldn't even find the joy in how bad it was?
The
No.
only thing I really laughed at was Thanatos or Thanatos. Well, now you got me on it. Watching him get his head buffed. He was like orgasming.
Yeah, he's like rolling his eyes back.
That was the funniest part about the movie to me.
Man,
that was it.
I loved just how like fucking over the top the whole like the kids' pranks were. They straight up were trying to kill this man the whole movie. Like, this is a demented movie. This is a horror film.
Yeah. That's it. I did like the line after he's like out of the shower and they tried to electrocute him and his hair's just standing up like a Marv from Home Alone 2. And they're like, how was your shower? He's like, stimulating. But other than that, I did not like this at all.
Dude, like I said, this was my favorite movie of the three just because I love how it was like they were trying to make like a fun family movie about like bringing a family together, and they made basically Saw before Saw was a thing. I like, they should have had fucking Jigsaw on his tricycle come out and be like, want to play a game?
I think they should have added a laugh track somewhere. You know?
Dude,
yeah.
This kind of felt like one of those TV shows where they take out the laugh track.
A laugh track would have made this movie like a 10 out of 10 for me. Like
I think it would have been way better if they did.
If there was a laugh track like as he's getting electrocuted in the shower.
That was really crappy canned laughter.
All right, well, thank you, Sam. You just gave me an idea because, like I said, I'm making like a JonTron style video about this movie. I'm gonna add a laugh track.
Nice.
I'm gonna write this down. Movie needs laugh track. I'll credit you.
Thank you. Because I mean, it really, really felt like one of those classic TV shows, like, you know, Friends or Big Bang Theory, something like that.
Yeah, but Friends.
But they just took out the laugh track. It's
have you
awful.
seen those videos where they take the laugh track out of Friends and it just makes Ross like super creepy?
Ross has always been creepy.
Yeah, but it's like it's worse with no laugh track.
I need to check that out.
But yeah, so I guess now I'm going to do the same thing I did with Tarantino. I think I'm going to start doing this every episode, but I want you guys to rank these movies.
Oh, easy. It's Vanilla Ice, Steel, Mr.Nanny.
Yep, it's Cool as Ice, yeah. Steel. That's it.
See, mine is inverted. I actually think my favorite is Mr. Nanny, then Steel, and then Cool as Ice.
Wow.
But that's just me.
Really? Getting a little spicy there.
I got the hot takes.
Vanilla Ice might need to come cool you down.
You know what? If he wants to be on the podcast and debate this with us, I would love to have him on.
I bet we could get him.
It
can't be that hard to get him.
This is a message to you, Vanilla Ice. If you're out there watching, we want you to come on and talk to us about. We will make a whole nother episode just about Cool as Ice, and you can tell us about making the movie.
I'm gonna sequel on my phone with him.
And we'll pitch ideas for a sequel.
I want him to argue with you about why Mr. Nanny is better than
but this is going to entail us making Vanilla Ice watch Mr. Nanny.
Oh! Yeah, please.
And we can record him watching it. All right, well, I guess either of you have anything you want to say about this group of movies anything you want to bookend this with?
What
Not
about
really.
tomorrow?
The 90s were fucking weird, man. Let me tell you. The fact that people paid money for these movies to be made. These are not movies that would have, like, you don't see this shit anymore today. You said the closest we got was Space Jam 2 with LeBron James.
I'd rather watch Mr.Nanny. Really?
Yeah, like, it's just, you just don't get the... And I almost changed, I almost suggested we actually watch Space Jam for this. Because that was
good.
That was good, but it is another movie where... And I think that might be why these movies were made, is because that movie worked. Even though Michael Jordan couldn't act for shit in that movie, the movie overall was so much fun. And of course, people talk about it today. They say it's actually not a good movie. But I love that movie. A lot of people love that movie. So, yeah, that's a good one, but I wanted to make it the bad ones. So,
Jack's in that movie too.
And so I forgot to look and see which one of these had the highest ratings on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think I have one of the percents written down. Steel had 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. I want to say one of them had like a 6%.
Cool as Ice has 3%.
It's already gone down in like the last hour.
Travesty.
Travesty.
Mr.Nanny has 3% more at 6%.
Yeah, that's the 6. Yeah, see, I can't believe Cool as Ice got 3%.
I want to know what the audience score is. 33%. That's a generous ass percentage.
Hey,
What do you
Steel
mean?
got 39. Mine says 43. I think that's fair.
Yeah, for me it says, Steel got 12% and an audience score of 19%. Are you on Rotten Tomatoes? What are you on?
Yeah, I'm on Rotten Tomatoes. It says for Cool as Ice it has 3 on the tomato meter, and the audience is 43.
43?
Yeah, I see 43 also.
Mm-hmm.
And Steel is 12 and 19.
Damn, the audience liked these movies a lot more than the critics.
I'm not that much more Steel.
I'm kind of... I'm like blown away by the audience score for Cool as Ice.
I'm not. Makes sense.
Ditch the zero, get with a hero.
The hero? I think the overall message with Steel was just how one Saturday detention could ruin a man. And that's all I have to say.
Steel?
Yeah.
Well, you think that's why Burke was the way he was?
Yeah, Saturday detention. It ruined it ruined him, man. It made him who he was.
Also, I forgot to ask, did he have any consequences from, like, basically killing that senator? Or that...
He got reprimanded, right? Because they were talking about his verdict afterwards when they're walking outside, and they were like, they're lucky they're not sending him off to, like, wherever.
Yeah, I think he just got basically kicked out of the military.
Yeah. Chewed out. Chewed out before.
All right, so before we end this, I did want to float an idea for next week's episode, or the week after if you guys can't do next week. But I want to show you this trailer.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and then I will explain afterwards.
My name is Cade. I have an identical twin brother, Cale. Then one day it all changed. There was a bright light in the sky and time stood still. We were both selected. pure majesty of nature.
Programmable virtual reality, the corrupt version.
A limitless digital universe,
got the lighting tool. It's got the
connecting
lighting
all
tool.
shared virtual reality. Digital tribes. I miss what I never knew.
I'll take you out to dinner.
Leave me alone. I have a boyfriend.
Let's have
Get
it.
out of my
Let's
face.
have a
Leave me
drink.
alone.
Let's have a drink.
Leave me alone.
Let's have
I
a
have
drink.
a boyfriend.
I'll meet
Get
you
out of my
back here
face.
at 8 o'clock.
I miss my brother. I'm with you. Programmable matter. Kuz's biological mutant warfare plans must be stopped.
Who am I? What am I? It's a killer with unidentifiable DNA?
In AI, fright and interest are not far from each other. Things can become real in your mind. I trust you completely, and you believe things you wouldn't ordinarily believe.
Who's there?
Justice is served.
It's just the same sound effect. It's just the same sound
This
effect.
is where we bring
over and
you
over
all
again.
to rot and die.
Kate, I will love you for all eternity.
We will live in a virtual metaverse, a virtual universe, living in our own world every day. Everyone has the right to love and peace. I'll be right here.
I think Steven Spielberg has that copyrighted.
So that is Twisted Pair. This movie has been, I think it might have something to do with the movies that I've been renting on YouTube, because this has been suggested to me as a movie to buy on YouTube for like a couple months now. I think maybe since I rented Cool as Ice. I might be wrong. But I finally was like, what the fuck is this last night? And I watched that trailer and I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Looks better than Mr.
When
Nanny.
the explosions start happening and it's literally the same sound effect and explosion animation like 50 times, I lost my shit.
How long is the movie?
It's like an hour 20 minutes.
God.
And this is the thing. This man has made 5 of these movies. So that trailer is pretty funny, but I did want to show you one other one. Just listen to the dialogue in.
Oh my god, you can only buy it, and it's
You
like
can
only buy it, and it's like
If you
13 bucks.
search for it, it's actually just online on YouTube
yeah,
for
I see
free.
it. Yeah, it's right there. Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, it's right there.
The budget's $69.
has been made.
Also, your audio is duplicated. Stream audio is duplicated.
It's probably just with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I don't know how to fix that when I'm doing this because it's playing both the desktop audio and the NDI audio. I guess I could have just done this. Turn you guys down. Now it shouldn't do it. All right, now listen to the dialogue in this one.
Las Vegas, where anything goes. Enjoy it while you can. I'm about to end it all. My name is Aaron Brand. I always thought I was doing the right thing and preparing for life. I was the first in my class in college in computer science. I joined the military and became a fighter pilot and won many medals for distinguished service. I'm now a covert agent, a mercenary for any nation that wants to control another. I don't need much to live on anymore. I just eat tuna out of the can and live in the car. I control access to anything and everything, even from my little simple, brilliant setup. My orders from another country are to shut down the Las Vegas Strip for 2 months. I've been given this great power, but I'm so alone without the girl I love. My girlfriend and I always wanted to have children.
I love you.
And now all of that's been taken away from me.
Confirmed.
Oh, jeez. He is planning something very big. Bigger than 9/11 or any of the other larger catastrophes we caught in time after 9/11.
It's me.
Did you hear that line?
Wait, no, go back.
Oh, jeez. He is planning something very big. Bigger than 9/11 or any of the other larger catastrophes we caught in time after 9/11.
It's me. Give me the president. Contact has been made. Governments don't dare try to kill me.
Where does he go? He's on a quest. Don't ask, he's protected.
You're a genius. The best. But you know that. No. This time, it's personal.
I can't forget her. Nor forgive them for what they did to us. Forgive me. Forgive me. It's starting now.
Marriage is over. Get out.
I've got the package. It's a setup. No sex. Don't ask how I found you. I know everything. It broke open. Run!
Holy shit, it's him!
So many questions. I'm so confused. I can't go on with this. I can't go on with this. I'm an American. I'm an American. I love this country. Of my country. You're the one.
Our daughter Megan was just diagnosed with brain cancer. Oh no, I'm so sorry.
An assassination. We want to kill someone.
Bro, somebody said they're pretty sure Neil Breen has never seen a person before. Hold on, I'm gonna show you guys the other one. This is the only other trailer I watched, but this is Fateful Findings. That's it. This one, there's one line in particular in it that is just ridiculous.
was given paranormal powers as a child. I've hacked into just about all the information I need. They have no idea. No more books!
You were given a power.
Others want to take this from me.
He's writing about government secrets.
I knew I loved you when I was 8 years old. All this time, I haven't been working on my next book. I've hacked into the most secret government and corporate secrets. I'm using it to make a real difference. And I'm going to expose them all. Should I be afraid? Should we be afraid? I'm not ready for this. I want to be honest with all of you. I've been hacking into government and corporate systems all over the country.
You're going to get yourself killed.
But you should be scared, because it is the truth. Act now, on your own, outside of the corporate systems and these incompetent politicians. We're going to get out of here, but you can't see what's about to happen.
No more books. So that's Neil Breen, and like I said, I just discovered this last night, and I like looked to see if anybody had been talking about this. So I'm like, this is like gotta be like gold. Like there's gotta be somebody that's talking about this. There was only one person I could find that's even covered this, and it was Charlie, Moist Critical.
Of course.
He talked about it at one point, but other than that, yeah. So I didn't know if you guys had any interest on trying to watch these.
Yeah.
I figured I'd just kind of put it out there. It feels like The Room.
I was gonna say. It seems like Tommy Wiseau's successor.
Yeah, it's because the problem with Tommy Wiseau at this point is he's like kind of in on it. Like he knows he's people don't take his movies seriously. That's why he's making Big Shark right now, and it's literally like it's just like the most ridiculous looking movie on purpose. So it kind of like loses the. It's not as funny when he's in on it. Whereas this guy is apparently just making these movies earnestly and thinks these are amazing movies. And they're just unintentionally hilarious. So they have like a cult following and... Yeah.
Screenings like at his house, but nobody shows up.
No, I bet you they're sold out. That's like why he thinks his movies are so great, is because people come to watch them, but then he's like trying to figure out why they're laughing the whole time. But yeah, I figured I'd throw that out there. If you guys want to do that one, we can do that one. I thought it might be fun. Otherwise, we can figure out something else.
That's easy enough. I could waste a few hours watching that.
Yeah, I could watch this.
All right, so I guess we'll do the Neil Breen trilogy for the next episode. God, I'm excited for that. I can't wait to watch these movies. I was gonna watch these either way, so now I'm just happy I have a purpose behind it. But I guess we'll go ahead and we'll wrap it here. I had a lot of fun on this one. I don't know about you guys. I don't think I can say exactly the same for you guys, but what can I say? I enjoy a shitty movie.
I enjoyed 2 out of 3. I enjoyed 2 out of 3.
It's not bad.
No, it's not. It's not. But yeah, so I'm Devin.
Back.
Sam.
Back.
And until next time, Peace.